Hey guys, so Lily and I were just having a chat about handwriting, which is something that is actually really important when you're doing your exams. I think students are shocked when they hear that students that have nice handwriting get higher marks. They're not getting higher marks because their handwriting is nice per se, but if someone can actually read your writing, then you're more likely to get high marks. Okay, so do not think that you can just write in whatever way and it's fine. You need to make sure that you're writing something that someone can actually read, and that they can follow, because if you write things kind of well and then it sort of drops off halfway in the sentence or something, it breaks the flow of what the markers are actually reading. And then that does impact your marks, because they can't really get a full sense of your knowledge and understanding, because they're so busy trying to firstly decipher a word that you've written, and then they're trying to reread the whole sentence again using the word that they've deciphered. Then they come across another word they can't read, and it's very jarring. So you need to just really take into account the marker's psychology. Like if you were reading something and you couldn't read every second or third word, it's incredibly frustrating. So, and this is true of how you answer the question, how you do your handwriting. The easier you make it for the marker to see what you've written and get a picture of what your argument is, the higher your mark's going to be. And it's also just making them happy, which is always a good thing as well in terms of you wanting to get a higher mark. Lily had a few suggestions as well about what you might be able to do for your handwriting. So what were your suggestions, Lily?
Yeah, so throughout all of high school, I was told that my handwriting was terrible and it was really an abomination to look at. But I found towards the end, it really becomes more about legibility than neatness. A lot of students feel like in order to be legible, they have to be perfect calligraphy, beautiful cursive writing. I've found that that's just it's not feasible in an exam condition. But what you can do, I found a lot of people, when they start to speed up, your letters get smaller, which then becomes the huge issue for the marker to go is that an I, is it an R, is it an N? That word just squiggles off. How am I supposed to discern that? So while you do want to try and be neat, try and make your letters get bigger as you go, because if they're taking up a little bit more of the line, it's going to be easier for the marker to just kind of see what that word is and decipher each letter from each one. Also, try and print a little bit more, try and just move your letters apart, because when it's really neat, pushed together cursive, it's hard to figure out the different letters and distinguish the whole word. It can just look like a squiggle. So try and get a little bit bigger and just really prioritize making those words clear. And also go back after you've done a practice exam and see if you can read your own writing, because that'll be the clearest thing for you to be able to see and judge whether your marking is legible. So when you're editing, make that a part of your editing and checklist process. Yeah.
And look, you may need to write less.
Yeah.
That seems not the right thing to say and do, but I think you're definitely going to be better off having less information that someone can read than more information that someone can't read, basically. So if you really are struggling to have your writing be legible, you might want to consider just cutting, or having 100 words to cut or something, because overall you want them to be able to read it. Another thing too is you can have a look at the pen you're using. So I went to Officeworks and experimented with a bunch of pens, to see which one was the easiest on my hand. I didn't have to press as hard. I think having something with a grip, having something that's a bit inky, but then having a finer nib is generally the best. I think 0.15, do you reckon, Lily?
Yeah, something like that, really thin. And also I found I needed a light pen. If it's heavy, it's pulling you down, I found. So if it's lighter pen, you're going to be able to get through it a little bit easier. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, as with everything else, the more you write and practice it, the more your muscles will support that. And we spend a lot of time on the computer, right? So obviously, you're probably writing a lot more in the lead up to an exam than you ever have previously. But doing that practice is so crucial, because you're building up the hand muscles required to really go the full length of time and write, as much as you can. So hopefully, from a technical standpoint, that gives you an idea of, another place that you can get a few more marks. And if you have any other tips, please put them in the comments, because I'm always really keen to find out what people do. I've heard of people putting like a battery on their, I've seen people like put the battery on their pen and then they, but then that can be counterproductive, because if you take the battery off right at the exam, then all of a sudden your pen like has a completely different weight to what you're used to. So that could be counterproductive. But yeah, if you have any other suggestions, would love to hear what they are.